Coming up on Look Today, Mayor Joanne Yepsen of Saratoga announces details at a press conference today for the Housing and Urban Development Summit. I've got details. And Saratoga Center for the Family celebrates its 40th anniversary. More on that coming up. And we take our weekly look at the movies with Jackson Murphy. And it's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. On tonight's program, I sit down with Jeff Mead. He's the general manager of the Glens Falls Civic Center and he's here to talk about recent happenings at the center as well as at acquisition of the Queensbury Hotel. I also sit down with Seth Breedlove. Now he's the director of a new feature documentary called The Beast of Whitehall, and we're joined by Brandon Dalo. He's a composer and producer of that film. Plus, we have your weather for the Tri-North counties. But first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, Mayor Joanne Yepsen of Saratoga Springs announced today that the Housing and Urban Development Summit will be held at the Saratoga City Center on April 10th and 11th. Now, this year's summit, known as Strengthening Cities, Communities, and Homes, will be attended by Joanne Yepsen and mayors of neighboring cities, as well as fair housing advocates and real estate professionals. Well, Joanne Yepsen made it clear that she is a big supporter of making housing more affordable for everyone in Saratoga, and we spoke to her about this effort.
But most of our local residents that have lived here a long time, want to continue to live here, can't afford the higher end of those apartments and condos that are being built. So our goal here in this administration and through this summit and hosting it in Saratoga Springs is to help identify the needs in the middle and come up with some solutions.
In other news, well, we got an update on the two Glens Falls water tanks behind Aviation Mall. You might remember earlier this week we were talking about the first phase of work. Well, it's been completed. The isolation valve that allows one tank to be empty has been replaced. Now, during this phase, Glens Falls had to switch over to the Queensbury water supply system. Well, since Thursday, Glens Falls is back on their own water system. Now, the $1.2 million project entails draining the two tanks one at a time, and then inspection and cleaning can ensue. Well, we're going to keep you updated on further developments on this story next week. In other news, we got an update on the debate over the minimum wage. New York State lawmakers have agreed on a revised proposal to raise the state's minimum wage gradually. For New York City, the wage would increase to $15 an hour within 3 years, while for the upstate region, it would increase to $12.50 over the next 5 years. Now, the reason for the difference is that smaller businesses, and specifically farmers in the upstate region, would really struggle with the $15 an hour spike. Now, we're going to keep you updated on this story as we gather more information and more details next week. Switching from news to weather. Well, today felt like a warm, stormy summer's day. And this weekend temperatures, guess what? They're expected to drop with a chance of snow on Sunday or Monday. For a more detailed look at our weather, we're going to head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast. And back to the news. Well, the Saratoga Center for the Family celebrated its 40th anniversary in Saratoga County today. Now, this coincides with the National Child Abuse Prevention Month. The center specializes in providing the necessary help for children who are abused. It was founded in 1976, and the center is a nonprofit organization which provides abuse prevention programs. Now, the center also works closely with the Saratoga County Sheriff's Office to help these victims. We spoke to Saratoga County Sheriff Mike Zerlo.
We use the center, unfortunately, more than we need to, but when we do come here, the results in interviewing a young child with the assistance of them is huge.
I know Mike, and I know he's very concerned about this. Well, now, guess what? It's time for our weekly look at the movies with Jackson Murphy, and he's going to give us an update on movies in the home and in the theaters.
Hi everybody, I'm Jackson Murphy with this weekend's Look TV, Look at Movies. God's Not Dead 2 chronicles the legal struggles of a junior high school teacher who gets into trouble with the school system for quoting Jesus in class. Melissa Joan Hart stars. God's Not Dead 2 is rated PG. Meet the Blacks is a parody of the Purge franchise. Mike Epps plays a dad who moves his family to Beverly Hills on the same night that murder is legal. George Lopez and Mike Tyson are also part of the cast. Meet the Blacks is rated R. And the biopic I Saw the Light gets a wider release. Tom Hiddleston stars as legendary country singer Hank Williams. It's also rated R. New at-home options include Concussion. Will Smith is outstanding as the doctor who discovers the connection between football head injuries and the early deaths of former players. And Quentin Tarantino fans do get their money's worth from his ultra-violent western, The Hateful Eight. I'll see you at the cinema, and right back here next week. I'm Jackson Murphy.
A lot of great choices. And remember, you can catch Look at the Movies every Friday here on Look TV for a weekly update. Well, up next, I sit down with Jeff Mead. He's the general manager of the Glens Falls Civic Center. And he's here to talk about recent happenings at the center, as well as the recent acquisition of the Queensbury Hotel. Plus, I also sit down with Seth Breedlove. Now, he's the director of the new feature documentary called The Beast of Whitehall. And we're joined by Brandon Dalo. He's the composer and producer. He wrote the soundtrack for the film. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000.